The truth is simple. If someone wants you, you'll know. If they don't, you'll be confused. That one line, my friends, can save you years of heartbreak if you really let it sink in, because let's be honest, too many of us have wasted time chasing shadows, waiting for signs, and holding on to hope where there was none. Today, we're cutting through the noise. Honestly, if they're not interested in you, they'll do these 7 things. I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to wake you up. And before we dive deep, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because this might just be the most important lesson you'll hear all year. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in front of a locked door. Day after day, you knock. Sometimes you hear faint noises inside, sometimes silence. But the truth? That door was never going to open for you. And while you're standing there wasting your strength, there's another door down the hall that's wide open, waiting, yet you never walk toward it because you're stuck begging at the wrong one. That, my friends, is exactly what happens when you keep chasing someone who's not interested. You confuse persistence with progress, but all you're really doing is wearing yourself out on a door that was never meant to open. Let's break one of the biggest lies right here. People aren't as mysterious as we pretend they are. If they're into you, they'll show you. You won't have to guess. You won't have to decode texts like you're deciphering ancient scrolls. You won't have to sit by the phone convincing yourself they're just busy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In the same way, if it is not mutual, do not chase it. If it is not clear, do not cling to it. That is the Stoic way. But here's the problem. Many of us don't want the truth. We want the illusion. We want the fantasy that if we just try harder, if we just wait longer, if we just love them enough, they'll finally love us back. Let me tell you this. Persistence doesn't create attraction. Gifts don't create respect. Begging doesn't create desire. In fact, the more you try to convince someone to want you, the more their respect for you fades. Why? Because respect and attraction come from strength, not from desperation. Think about it. When you sit there waiting 3 hours for a text back while watching them post stories online, what are you really doing? You're teaching them that your time doesn't matter. When you keep rearranging your life for someone who can't give you even an ounce of their attention, you're telling them you'll accept scraps. My friends, scraps aren't love. Scraps aren't attraction. Scraps are leftovers, and you are not a leftovers kind of person. You're the main course, but you have to start treating yourself that way before anyone else will. Here's the fun but painful truth. You've probably seen this play out in movies 100 times. The hero runs after the one who ignores them, only to discover at the end that the person who truly loved them was standing in the background the whole time, and you laugh at the screen thinking, how could they not see it? Yet in real life, many of us do the exact same thing. We're so busy chasing what doesn't want us that we're blind to what does. So today, I'm going to expose the 7 undeniable things they'll do when they're not interested in you. These signs aren't subtle hints. They're flashing neon lights, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. If you've ever asked yourself, do they like me, or should I keep trying? This video will give you clarity. And clarity, my friends, is power. But here's the key. Don't just listen, apply it. If you see these signs, don't argue with reality. Don't cling to false hope. Detach. Walk away. Create space for the person who will actually see your worth without needing to be convinced. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." People may call you cold, heartless, or uncaring when you stop chasing someone who doesn't care about you. Let them talk. Your peace matters more than their opinion. So folks, I want you to say this with me right now. I choose clarity. Write it in the comments. Say it out loud. Let the world know. Because the moment you choose clarity over confusion, self-respect over desperation, and reality over illusion, you set yourself free. Stay with me, because what's coming next will open your eyes even further. Press that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive straight into it together. Affirmation: I choose clarity. Number 1, they disrespect your time. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. My friends, time is the one thing you can never get back, and yet too many of us hand it away to people who treat it as if it were cheap and endless. Let's be real. When someone is truly interested in you, they value your time because they value your presence. They look forward to seeing you, they prioritize moments with you, and they don't want to risk losing access to your energy. But when they're not interested, the very first thing they will quietly show you is this: they begin to disrespect your time. Picture this. You plan to meet them for dinner on Friday. You prepare yourself, adjust your schedule, maybe even say no to other things just to make space for them. But an hour before, you get a text. Sorry, I forgot. I can't make it. Maybe another time. And then that maybe never comes. You tell yourself it's just one cancellation. They're probably busy, but deep down, you feel it. You weren't a priority. And yet, you swallow the truth because it's easier to hold on to the hope that next time will be different. But next time isn't different. Next time becomes the same cycle. Cancellations, lateness, excuses, and endless waiting for replies to simple texts. Why do we put ourselves through this? Because hope is addictive. Because our minds tell us, if I just stay patient, they'll see how good I am. They'll see I'm worth it. But here's the hard truth. People make time for the things and people they truly want. If they're not carving out space for you, they don't see you as someone they want to hold on to. It stings, I know. It feels unfair, especially when you know how much you would give if they only asked. But Stoicism teaches us to see reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. And reality is clear. Disrespect for your time is disrespect for you. Think of your time like gold coins. Every minute is one coin. When you're with someone who values you, they handle those coins carefully. They invest them wisely. But when you're with someone who doesn't care, they toss those coins aside like loose change. The danger is when you keep giving, hoping they'll suddenly wake up and start treating your time with respect. They won't. Why? Because you've already shown them that you'll keep waiting, that you'll keep adjusting, that you'll keep giving, no matter how they treat you. And once they know that, they have no reason to change. This is where many people fail. They excuse the disrespect. They tell themselves, maybe they're stressed, maybe life is just too much for them right now, maybe it's not personal. But let me ask you this. If life was truly so overwhelming, why are they still showing up for their friends? Why are they still making time for parties, scrolling on social media, binge-watching shows, while you're left waiting? The truth is, it's not about being busy. It's about priorities. And right now, you are not one of theirs. And here's the part most refuse to admit. Sometimes they know exactly what they're doing. They know you're waiting. They know you'll tolerate the cancellations and the excuses. They know they can treat your time like it's disposable, and you'll still come back, eager for the scraps. And that, my friends, is not love. That is not attraction. That is not respect. That is you devaluing yourself in the hope that someone else will finally see your worth. But let me break that illusion for you right now. You don't prove your value by waiting. You prove your value by walking away the moment someone shows you they don't respect your time. Seneca once said, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that's exactly what happens when you keep waiting for someone who has already decided you're not a priority. You waste days, weeks, months, even years that you could have been investing in yourself, in your growth, or in someone who would actually treasure you. I know it's not easy. I know the fear. The fear that if you let go, maybe they'll never come back. The fear that maybe you'll never find someone else. The fear that all the time you already invested will mean nothing. But let me remind you of this. Time spent learning is never wasted. Every moment you give to the wrong person is a lesson pushing you closer to the right one, if you're willing to learn it. If you're willing to wake up and stop repeating the cycle. So ask yourself, are you respecting your own time, or are you letting them set the value for it? Because the way you treat your time is the way they'll treat it too. If you keep giving it away freely to someone who disrespects it, you're teaching them that your time isn't worth much. But the moment you pull back, the moment you say, "My time is valuable and I won't waste it on someone who doesn't see it," everything changes. This is the rise. This is the shift from weakness to strength. When you stop begging for their time, you reclaim your own. And that's when the respect you've been searching for starts to grow, not from them, but from within you. And here's the paradox. Once you truly respect your own time, the world starts respecting it too. Because people follow your lead. Show them you value yourself, and they'll either rise to meet your standard or fall away. Either way, you win. So, my friends, let this sink in deeply. If they disrespect your time, they're telling you without words that they're not interested. Don't argue with it. Don't excuse it. Don't try to wait it out. Respect yourself enough to walk away. Say this with me. My time is valuable. Write it in the comments right now. Show yourself. Show the world. Because once you affirm it, once you start living by it, you'll never again waste your precious hours chasing someone who doesn't care. And stay with me, because the next sign will open your eyes even further. Affirmation. My time is valuable. Number 2, their phone becomes more interesting than you. Wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. Let's be brutally real here, my friends. Attention is the purest currency of attraction. Forget flowers, forget gifts, forget long speeches. The truest sign of interest is focus. When someone is genuinely into you, they give you their attention because they want you to feel their presence. They lean in, they laugh with you, they ask questions, and you don't need to fight for their eyes. But when they're not interested, suddenly their phone becomes more fascinating than your words, their notifications more urgent than your presence. And that, my friends, is one of the clearest signs you're giving energy to someone who doesn't value it. Picture this. You're sitting across from them at a cafe, coffee steaming on the table. You've been waiting for this moment all week, excited to connect, ready to share stories, maybe even hoping to build a memory. But instead of looking into your eyes, their gaze drops constantly toward the glowing screen in their hand. They scroll through Instagram reels. They chuckle at some meme in a group chat. They type quick replies with a half smile that has nothing to do with you. And there you are, sitting like a background extra in a scene where you were supposed to be the main character. It hurts. It feels like rejection without words. And yet, so many men convince themselves it's nothing. They say, maybe they're just distracted. Maybe it's urgent. Maybe that's just how people are these days. No, my friends, don't lie to yourself. Don't excuse what you clearly feel. Because when someone cares about you, they show it by being fully present. They don't need to be reminded to put the phone away. They don't need to be begged for attention. They give it freely because they want to connect with you. Let me break one of the biggest illusions right now. You cannot compete with a glowing screen. You can't outshine TikTok's constant dopamine hits or Instagram's endless flood of curated images. If you're sitting there hoping that maybe if you tell a better story or crack a better joke, they'll finally put their phone down and look at you, you've already lost. Because it's not about the phone, it's about priorities. And if they're more invested in a digital feed than in the real, living, breathing person sitting across from them, it's not distraction, it's disinterest. Think of attention like sunlight. When someone is into you, they shine that light on you fully and you feel the warmth. You grow in that presence. But when they're not, that light scatters elsewhere, and you can sit there begging for even a sliver of that light, but you'll never thrive in someone's half-hearted shadow. Here's the mistake most people make. They tolerate it. They stay quiet, thinking, I don't want to seem needy. I don't want to ruin the moment. I'll just wait until they're done texting. But every moment you sit silently, you're teaching them that it's acceptable to treat you as background noise. And the longer you allow it, the less they will respect you. Respect is trained, and if you train someone that you'll sit quietly while they give their attention elsewhere, you're locking yourself into second place in their mind. Now, let's cut deeper. Sometimes it's not even random scrolling. Sometimes it's conversations with other people, other men, other women. They laugh at messages they don't share with you. They smile at jokes you're not a part of. And when you ask, "What's funny?" they brush it off with, "Oh, nothing." Do you feel that sting? That's not just distraction, that's exclusion. That's them showing you, without saying it, that someone else has their mental focus in the moment, and it's not you. Stoicism teaches us to value what we can control and let go of what we cannot. You cannot control whether they respect your presence. You cannot force them to put down their phone, but you can control your response. And your response, my friends, determines everything. Do you stay, quietly tolerating second place, or do you respect yourself enough to recognize what's happening and step back? Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Think about how many minutes, hours, days you could waste competing for attention from someone who's already shown you they'd rather give it elsewhere. That's not just disrespectful, it's theft. They're stealing your time, your presence, your emotional energy, and the worst part, you're letting them. Let me give you a metaphor that hits. Imagine you're on stage, ready to perform, ready to give your all. The spotlight is shining, your voice is strong, but instead of clapping, instead of watching, the audience is looking down at their phones, scrolling, laughing at something unrelated. How would that feel? Would you keep singing, hoping one day they'll finally look up? Or would you walk off the stage, saving your song for an audience that actually wants to hear it? That's exactly the choice you face when someone values their phone more than you. And here's the truth that many refuse to hear. Attraction is not built in silence. It's not built in tolerance. It's built in presence. When someone likes you, they'll lean in, they'll ask questions, they'll hang on to your words, even if the story is simple. They'll care, not because the conversation is extraordinary, but because you are. And when that care is missing, no amount of waiting will create it. So, my friends, what do you do when their phone becomes more interesting than you? You don't fight for attention. You don't beg for focus. You withdraw yours. You respect yourself enough to say, if I'm not worth your presence, you're not worth my energy. Because nothing kills attraction faster than desperation, but nothing commands respect faster than self-respect. This is not easy, I know, because part of you fears that if you walk away, they'll never notice, that if you demand respect, they'll leave. But hear me clearly, someone who will leave you simply because you ask to be valued is someone who was never truly there for you in the first place. Let them go. Free yourself for someone who will treasure every second of your attention, not treat it like background noise. So let me end this with a truth you can carry forward. You are not competing with a phone. You are not second place to memes, group chats, or endless notifications. If they choose distraction over your presence, believe them. Respect yourself enough to stop fighting for scraps of attention. Say this with me right now. I deserve full attention. Write it in the comments. Show yourself. Show the world. Because once you affirm it, once you start living it, you'll never again waste your energy sitting silently in the presence of someone who would rather look at a screen than look into your eyes. Stay with me, because the next sign will strike even deeper, and once you hear it, you'll never look at busy excuses the same way again. Affirmation: I deserve full attention. Number 3. They're always too busy. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Seneca. My friends, let's get brutally honest about one of the most common lies people tell when they're not interested. I'm just too busy right now. You've heard it, I've heard it, and maybe you've even excused it. It sounds harmless on the surface, even reasonable. After all, everyone has work, school, family, commitments, and life can get hectic. But here's the hard truth. Nobody is too busy for what they truly want. Nobody is too busy for who they truly value. The too busy excuse is not about time, it's about priority. And when they keep telling you they're too busy, what they're really saying is this: you're not a priority. Imagine this. A man works 60 hours a week. He's constantly in meetings, on calls, and juggling deadlines. Yet somehow he finds the time to play basketball with his friends every Thursday night. He finds the time to go to the gym at 6 a.m. He finds the time to scroll social media before bed. Why? Because those things matter to him. They bring him joy, connection, energy. Now, ask yourself, if he wanted to see someone, even for an hour, would he find a way? Absolutely. Because when something or someone matters, people rearrange their lives to make it fit. When they tell you they're too busy to reply to your messages, too busy to grab coffee, too busy for even a 5-minute phone call, you need to see it for what it is: disinterest dressed as an excuse. It stings, I know, because you want to believe it's just bad timing, that maybe when things calm down, they'll finally have space for you. But here's the lie you've been telling yourself: life never calms down. There will always be deadlines, responsibilities, family issues, or distractions. If someone isn't making space for you now, they won't magically do it later. Let's use a metaphor. Think of their schedule like a suitcase. When they pack for a trip, they always make room for the things that matter most, the essentials, the items they can't live without. And even when the suitcase is full, they'll squeeze in one more thing if it's important enough. That's how priorities work. If you're not in the suitcase, if you're always left out because there's no room, it means they don't see you as essential. You're an optional extra they don't mind leaving behind. Now, here's where most people go wrong. Instead of facing this reality, they choose to wait. They tell themselves, if I just stay patient, if I just give them space, eventually they'll make time for me. Weeks turn into months, months into years, and still nothing changes. Meanwhile, they watch this person post pictures with friends, attend parties, binge entire Netflix series, and live life as if busy wasn't holding them back at all. That's because it never was. They weren't too busy. They were too busy for you. And let me break it even harder. Sometimes they know exactly what they're doing. They know "I'm busy" is the easiest, softest excuse. It doesn't sound cruel, it doesn't invite arguments, and it allows them to avoid admitting the truth. They're not interested. And you? You hold on to it like it's a lifeline. You think, at least they didn't say no, at least there's still hope. But hope based on lies is nothing more than self-destruction in disguise. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply that here. If it is not mutual, do not chase it. If it is not true interest, do not cling to it. A Stoic man does not waste his life waiting on someone who has already shown through their actions that they do not care. Here's a story you might relate to. A guy meets someone he's really into. They exchange numbers, talk for a few days, and everything feels good. Then, suddenly, the excuses begin. "Sorry, I can't meet this week. I'm swamped." "Sorry, work is killing me. Maybe another time." Weeks pass. He keeps initiating, keeps suggesting plans, and each time he's met with the same excuse. But while he's waiting, he sees them hanging out with friends, taking weekend trips, posting selfies at restaurants. He thinks, if they had time for them, why not me? And the answer is clear. They didn't want to make time for him. Because interest creates effort, and disinterest creates excuses. Let me give you another metaphor. Imagine a train station. Trains are always arriving and departing. If you really want to catch one, you'll run, you'll push through the crowd, you'll do whatever it takes to make it. But if you don't care about that train, you'll let it pass without a second thought. That's how people treat you when they're not interested. They let you pass by. They don't chase, they don't hurry, they don't rearrange. And the tragedy is, when you sit there on the platform, waiting for a train that already left hours ago. The Stoic lesson here is simple. Stop waiting. Stop wasting your most precious resource, time, on someone who has already shown you where you stand. Seneca reminds us, life is long if you know how to use it. Every day you spend waiting for them to finally be less busy is a day you could have spent building yourself, pursuing your mission, or meeting someone who would gladly clear their schedule just to spend an hour with you. I know the fear that creeps in, the fear that if you walk away, you'll lose them forever. But my friends, hear me clearly. If walking away means you lose them, you never had them in the first place. Love doesn't vanish just because you stop begging for it. Interest doesn't disappear just because you stop chasing it. If it's real, it stays. If it's not, let it go. So here's what I want you to remember. Busyness is not the enemy. Excuses are. Everyone is busy, but everyone also makes time for what matters. If you don't see yourself on their priority list, stop trying to climb it. Respect yourself enough to walk away and create space for someone who will choose you even in the middle of chaos. Because the truth is, you will never be too much for the right person. You will never be an inconvenience for the one who values you. Say this with me now. I am a priority. Write it in the comments. Declare it to yourself and to the world. Because once you live by that truth, you'll never again settle for someone who makes you feel like an afterthought. And stay with me, because the next sign will cut even deeper. What happens when conversations themselves feel like pulling teeth? That one, my friends, will expose a reality most people never want to face. Affirmation: I am a priority. Number 4, conversations feel like pulling teeth. Better to be silent than to speak words that do not matter. Epictetus. My friends, you know the feeling. You send a text and all you get back is LOL. You ask how their day was and the reply is fine. You try to share a story, hoping to spark laughter or connection, but their response is nothing more than a polite nod or a fake smile that fades in seconds. The silence between words feels heavier than the words themselves. You keep talking, hoping to pull something, anything out of them, but every exchange feels like dragging a boulder uphill. That, my friends, is what it means when conversations feel like pulling teeth. Let's be clear, when someone is genuinely interested in you, communication flows naturally. You don't need to force it. They're curious about your life, they ask follow-up questions, they share stories of their own, and time disappears in conversation. That's what attraction does. It creates a desire to connect. It doesn't matter if you're discussing world events or your favorite ice cream flavor. The energy is alive. You feel seen, heard, and valued. But when they're not interested, the exact opposite happens. Conversations dry up, messages turn into one-word replies, calls feel forced, face-to-face talks leave you carrying the weight of two people, desperately trying to keep something alive that's already dead. And the more effort you put in, the more exhausted you feel. Picture this. You're standing in front of a well, thirsty, desperate for water. You lower the bucket, pull with all your strength, but when it reaches the surface, it's empty. Again and again, you repeat the process, hoping for even a drop, but the well has long since dried. That's what trying to talk to someone who isn't interested feels like, an endless effort with no reward. Here's the illusion many people cling to. If I can just be more interesting, if I can be funnier, if I can come up with better topics, then they'll start engaging. But let me break that lie right now. Interest is not created by clever conversation skills. Attraction doesn't suddenly spark because you told a better joke. If they're not investing in the conversation, it's because they're not invested in you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is not doing right by you, move on. It is not in your control to change them, only to act rightly yourself." My friends, you cannot force someone to be curious about you. You cannot drag interest out of a disinterested heart. And yet, many keep trying. They send double texts. They come up with long, thoughtful messages, only to receive a half-hearted emoji in return. They convince themselves that silence is just shyness, that dryness is just distraction. But the truth is simpler. When someone likes you, they want to talk to you. When they don't, they don't. Now let's dig into why this is so hard to accept. It's because silence feels personal. When you try to connect and they give nothing back, it feels like rejection of your very being. You start to wonder, am I boring? Am I not good enough? Am I doing something wrong? And the fear grows. The fear that maybe if you stop trying, the connection will vanish completely. So you overcompensate, you push harder, you think, if I can just keep the conversation alive, maybe it will grow into something more. But that's not how attraction works. Effort from one side only leads to imbalance, and imbalance leads to exhaustion. Think of it like dancing. If two people are on the floor and only one is moving, that's not a dance, it's chaos. Real connection requires rhythm, energy, back and forth flow. If you're always leading, always pulling, always carrying, then you're not dancing together. You're dragging dead weight. And no matter how good a dancer you are, dragging someone who doesn't want to move will never look graceful. And here's something even harsher. Sometimes they keep talking to you just enough to keep you around. They'll give short replies, occasional laughs, or surface-level answers, not because they're interested, but because they know you'll keep feeding the effort. They get validation, attention, maybe even favors without ever giving their true energy back. It's not real connection, it's stringing you along. A Stoic sees through this. A Stoic man does not beg for words from someone who offers silence. He does not measure his worth by another's response. He understands that empty conversations reveal empty interest, and he values himself too much to keep pouring energy into a void. Let me give you another metaphor. Imagine you're playing catch with someone. You throw the ball, but they never throw it back. You pick it up, throw again, still nothing. How long will you keep playing before you realize you're not actually in a game? You're just standing there throwing a ball against a wall. That's what forced conversations are. You're playing alone, convincing yourself it's a two-player game. Seneca's wisdom cuts through here. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Ask yourself this: does forcing conversation improve you? Does waiting hours for a two-word reply make you stronger, happier, more fulfilled? Or does it drain you, weaken you, and chip away at your confidence? You already know the answer. So, my friends, here's the truth you must hold on to. Conversation is not supposed to feel like labor. If you constantly feel like you're pulling teeth just to get a word, that's not connection. It's rejection in disguise. And the bravest thing you can do is accept it. Accept that silence is an answer. Accept that effort should be mutual, not one-sided. And then, with stoic strength, step away. Because here's the beauty: you don't need to chase words from someone who doesn't want to speak. There are people out there who would gladly talk to you for hours, who would light up at your messages, who would laugh at your jokes and share their own stories. But you'll never meet them if you waste all your energy forcing conversations with someone who doesn't care. So today, I want you to make a decision. Stop dragging dead conversations. Stop forcing what isn't flowing. Stop begging for replies that should come naturally. Walk away from the silence and open yourself to voices that truly want to be heard with yours. Say this with me: I deserve real connection. Write it in the comments. Prove it to yourself. Show it to the world. Because the moment you affirm that truth, you'll never again settle for one-word answers, fake smiles, or forced exchanges. You'll save your words, your stories, your laughter for someone who actually wants to hear them. And stay with me, because the next sign will cut even deeper. We'll talk about why they avoid being alone with you and what that reveals about their true feelings. That one, my friends, is a reality check most people never want to face. Affirmation: I deserve real connection. Number 5, they avoid being alone with you. If they shun your company when the crowd is gone, it is not you they seek, but the attention you give. My friends, let's cut through the illusions. When someone is genuinely drawn to you, they crave your presence. Not just in loud rooms or crowded spaces, but in the quiet moments. They look for chances to be alone with you, because that's where intimacy lives and attraction breathes. When someone likes you, they don't need the buffer of a group. In fact, they want the opposite. They want you all to themselves. But when they're not interested, they'll do everything possible to avoid being alone with you. Picture this. You suggest grabbing dinner, just the two of you. Instead of excitement, their first response is, "Can I bring a friend?" Or you invite them for a walk, and suddenly they happen to bump into others along the way. Group settings, public gatherings, casual encounters in busy places, those become the norm. And you tell yourself, maybe they're just social, maybe they're shy one-on-one. But deep down, you feel it. If they truly wanted to know you, they wouldn't hide behind a crowd. Here's the truth: avoidance is communication. It says, I don't want intimacy with you. It's not about fear, it's not about shyness, it's about disinterest. Because attraction doesn't fear closeness, it seeks it. If they want you, they'll carve out one-on-one moments. If they don't, they'll bury you in noise and numbers, keeping you at a safe distance where nothing deeper can happen. Let's use a metaphor. Imagine two magnets. When they're drawn to each other, they pull closer, no matter what's between them. But when the polarity is wrong, no matter how much you push, they resist, sliding apart, never connecting. That's what happens here. You're pushing for closeness, but their actions repel it. And you can't force attraction where it doesn't exist. The mistake most people make is convincing themselves that any proximity is progress. They think, at least I'm around them, at least I get to be in their circle, even if it's with others too. But that's not progress. That's self-betrayal. Being near someone in a group when they never want to be with you alone is not attraction. It's avoidance disguised as socializing. Let's be real. This is one of the hardest truths to swallow, because it feels safer to accept group scraps than to face the silence of rejection. You tell yourself, as long as I'm around, maybe something will grow. But let me break that illusion. Comfort without attraction is the death of potential. The more you linger in group settings hoping for intimacy, the deeper you cement yourself into the friend zone, or worse, the background noise zone. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply that here. If it is not intimacy, do not mistake it for progress. If it is not connection, do not cling to it as hope. Because when you settle for avoidance, you rob yourself of the clarity you desperately need. Think of it like trying to have a private conversation in a noisy club. Music blasting, people shouting, laughter all around. You lean in, but your words are drowned out. That's what happens when someone only sees you in groups. Your presence is drowned in distraction, and intimacy has no room to breathe. Real attraction seeks quiet, not chaos. Now, here's something even sharper. Sometimes they keep you in group settings intentionally, not because they fear closeness, but because they don't want to risk sending the wrong signal. They know that being alone with you could be misinterpreted as romantic interest, so they avoid it altogether, keeping things safe, surface level, and casual. And the more you go along with it, the more you prove that you'll accept crumbs instead of clarity. But here's the Stoic truth. You deserve clarity. You deserve to know where you stand. You deserve someone who doesn't hide you in the crowd, but pulls you aside, eager to know your mind, your heart, your presence. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." People might call you cold when you pull away from someone who avoids you. They might say you're giving up too easily. But what they don't understand is that you're not walking away from potential. You're walking away from avoidance. You're refusing to waste your time trying to build intimacy where there is no interest. Here's another metaphor for you. Imagine you're knocking on a door. Each time you knock, instead of opening, they send someone else to answer. A friend, a roommate, a neighbor, anyone but them. How long would you keep knocking before you realize they have no intention of letting you in? That's what it's like when they always keep things in groups. They're sending buffers, not invitations. And your job is not to keep knocking, but to walk away and find the door that opens freely. And yet, so many ignore this sign. They convince themselves that persistence will turn avoidance into desire. They think, if I just stay close, if I just keep showing up, eventually they'll want me alone. But avoidance doesn't transform into attraction. It only deepens into habit. And by the time you realize it, you've wasted months, even years, waiting for a moment that was never going to come. The Stoic path is different. A Stoic man does not beg for solitude with someone who refuses it. He does not measure his worth by how much effort he must put in to be noticed. He sees avoidance for what it is, disinterest. And with calm strength he steps away, knowing that what is not meant for him will never belong to him, no matter how hard he tries. So, my friends, ask yourself, Are you being hidden in crowds, or are you being chosen in quiet? Because the answer tells you everything you need to know. If they avoid being alone with you, it's not because they're shy, not because they're cautious, but because they've already decided you're not what they want. And that truth, though painful, is freeing, because once you see it, you can stop waiting for intimacy that will never come. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop chasing those who avoid you, you create space for those who seek you. You create room for the person who wants to know you deeply, without distraction, without buffers, without fear. That person exists, but you'll never find them if you keep wasting your time with someone who refuses to be alone with you. So say this with me right now: I deserve intimacy. Write it in the comments. Declare it to yourself, to me, to the world. Because the moment you affirm that truth, you'll never again settle for group scraps when you were meant for one-on-one connection. And stay with me, because the next sign will strip away another illusion, the truth that body language never lies. If you thought words were confusing, wait until you see how the body reveals everything they're not willing to say out loud. Affirmation: I deserve intimacy. Number 6. Their body language screams disinterest. The body never lies. My friends, words can be deceptive, excuses can be polished, but the body tells the truth every single time. When someone is genuinely interested in you, you don't need to overanalyze their words. Their body will say it louder than their lips ever could. They lean toward you, their eyes light up, their gestures are open, and they create closeness with every movement. Attraction radiates without effort, but when they're not interested, their body language screams disinterest, even if their words try to cover it up. Picture this: you're standing next to them, trying to connect. Instead of leaning in, their torso is angled away. Instead of open hands, their arms are crossed like a shield. Instead of locking eyes, they glance around the room, at the ground, or at their phone. When you move closer, they take a step back. When you try to joke, their smile feels forced, tight, rehearsed. And yet, you tell yourself, maybe they're just shy, maybe they're tired, maybe I'm overthinking. But no, my friends, you're not overthinking. You're seeing the truth your heart doesn't want to admit. Here's the reality: interest pulls people in, disinterest pushes them away. Attraction makes space shrink, disinterest makes it grow. If you lean forward and they lean back, that's not shyness, it's repulsion. If their eyes wander every time you talk, that's not distraction, it's avoidance. The body speaks in a language older than words, and it does not lie. Think of it like fire and ice. When someone is drawn to you, their body warms up. They face you fully, their posture relaxes, their eyes soften, their movements feel inviting. But when they're not interested, they turn into ice. Rigid posture, tight shoulders, crossed arms, no warmth in their gaze. You can almost feel the cold in the space between you, and the mistake too many men make is trying to melt that ice with persistence. They think, if I just keep showing up, if I just keep trying harder, eventually their body language will open up. But that's not how it works. Attraction cannot be forced into existence. If the fire isn't there, no amount of effort will light it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone does not want what is good, it is not good for them." Let that sink in. If they don't want to move closer, if their body pulls away, it's not your job to convince them otherwise. Their distance is their truth. Respect it, believe it, and walk away. Here's the painful part. Sometimes their words will trick you. They'll still say, "Yeah, we should hang out sometime." They'll still laugh politely. They'll still answer your questions. But watch their body closely. Do they lean back while you lean forward? Do they create physical barriers, like holding their phone, bag, or drink between you? Do they keep their feet pointed away, as if ready to leave at any moment? That's not random. That's instinct telling you where you stand. And if you ignore it, you're setting yourself up for more pain. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to pet a stray cat. If it's comfortable, it walks toward you, rubs against your leg, purrs in your presence. But if it's not, it stiffens, arches away, maybe even hisses. You can ignore the signs and keep reaching out, but the truth is clear. It doesn't want closeness. People aren't cats, but the principle is the same. Attraction is shown in the body, not hidden. Now, let's destroy one of the most dangerous lies. They're just playing hard to get. Real attraction doesn't need to disguise itself as rejection. Real desire doesn't show up as avoidance. When they cross their arms, lean away, avoid eye contact, or pull back from your touch, that's not a game, it's a message. The problem is, many men romanticize resistance. They see movies where persistence wins the heart, and they believe reality works the same way. But this isn't Hollywood. This is life. And in life, chasing someone who's physically showing you to back off isn't romantic. It's desperate. And desperation kills attraction faster than anything else. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Ask yourself, does chasing someone whose body language rejects you make you better, or does it strip away your confidence piece by piece, teaching you to settle for crumbs instead of respect? You already know the answer. Let me give you a metaphor that will hit hard. Imagine walking into a room with two chairs. One chair is facing you, open, waiting, inviting. The other is turned away, tilted toward the corner, closed off. Which chair would you sit in? The one that welcomes you or the one that rejects you? Yet when it comes to attraction, too many men keep trying to force themselves into the closed chair, ignoring the one that was open all along. Stop wasting your energy on turned backs. Sit where you're welcomed. Now, here's the beautiful part. When someone is truly interested, you'll feel it without asking. They'll lean closer during conversation. They'll face you directly, giving you their full presence. Their eyes will linger, not dart away. They'll find excuses to close the distance, maybe brushing your arm, maybe standing just a little too close, maybe mirroring your movements. That's attraction, that's real, and it flows naturally. You don't have to drag it out of them. So why do so many ignore body language? Because truth hurts. Because it's easier to cling to polite words than to face the unspoken reality. But a Stoic doesn't run from truth. A Stoic man seeks it. He studies the signs, accepts them, and moves forward with clarity. Remember this: respect is shown not just in words, but in presence. If their body rejects you, it's time to reject the illusion and embrace reality. My friends, here's the power move. When you see closed body language, don't try to force it open. Respect it and step back. That is strength. That is dignity. That is the kind of self-respect that will attract someone who doesn't shrink away from your presence, but leans into it fully. So today, I want you to make this vow to yourself. No more chasing closed doors. No more begging for warmth where there is only ice. No more ignoring the truth the body is screaming. From now on, you will only give your energy to those who open themselves freely, who face you fully, who welcome your presence with their own. Say it with me. I believe the signs. Write it in the comments. Declare it proudly, because the moment you stop ignoring body language, you stop wasting time on illusions, and you start living with clarity, strength, and peace. And stay with me, because the next sign reveals something even more brutal when they flirt with others right in front of you. That, my friends, is a wake-up call you can't afford to ignore. Affirmation: I believe the signs. Number 7. They flirt with others in front of you. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Maya Angelou. My friends, nothing cuts deeper than this. You're standing right there. You've given your time, your attention, your energy, and yet they give their charm, their laughter, their spark to someone else right in front of you. They're leaning in closer to another person, laughing a little too hard at their jokes, touching an arm during conversation, holding eye contact longer than necessary. And there you stand, invisible in plain sight. It's not subtle. It's not hidden. It's a message. And the message is this: I don't value you the way you value me. Let's be clear, when someone is genuinely interested in you, they will not openly compete for attention in your presence. They won't risk making you feel small, insecure, or second best. They'll make sure you feel chosen, even in a room full of options. Because attraction isn't about games, it's about focus. And when they flirt with others in front of you, it's not an accident. It's not harmless fun. It's either deliberate disrespect or unconscious truth. Either way, it tells you everything you need to know. Picture this. You take them to a gathering, maybe a dinner or a party. You're hoping to grow closer, to enjoy the night together. But instead of engaging with you, their eyes wander. They're busy giving playful energy to everyone else, while you're left holding the weight of silence. And then, when you finally confront it in your mind, you excuse it. Maybe they're just friendly. Maybe that's just their personality. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. But let's be honest, it does mean something. Because friendliness doesn't cross lines of intimacy. Friendliness doesn't exclude you. Friendliness doesn't leave you questioning your worth. Here's the illusion. Many men see this as a challenge. They think, if they're giving attention to others, I just need to compete harder. I need to step up my game, outshine the competition, prove I'm the better choice. But let me break that lie right now. Attraction isn't a contest. Love isn't won by outperforming rivals. If someone is truly drawn to you, they won't make you compete. They'll choose you willingly, naturally, without hesitation. The moment you feel like you're auditioning for their affection, you've already lost. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot control where they give their attention. You cannot force them to stop flirting with others. What you can control is whether you choose to stay in a place where you are disrespected. And that decision, my friends, separates the strong from the desperate." Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're standing in a store, holding money in your hand, ready to buy something valuable. But the shopkeeper ignores you. Instead, they focus on other customers, laughing with them, giving them the best service, while you stand waiting. How long would you keep standing there with your money, begging to be noticed? Or would you take your money, the symbol of your value, and walk to another store that actually appreciates it? That's exactly what's happening here. Your attention, your time, your energy is currency. Stop spending it where it's not respected. Now, here's the most dangerous part. Sometimes they do it on purpose. Sometimes they flirt with others in front of you to test your reaction, to see if you'll fight for them, to feed their ego with your jealousy. And the more you react, the more they know they have you trapped. You become predictable. You become controlled by their behavior. And the more desperate you appear, the less attractive you become. Because nothing kills respect faster than someone who tolerates open disrespect. But here's where the Stoic response changes everything. Instead of reacting with anger, instead of trying to compete, you remain calm. You observe. You register the truth for what it is. And then, with quiet strength, you remove yourself. Not in rage, not in drama, but in dignity. because walking away from disrespect is not weakness. It's mastery. It's choosing your peace over their games. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." Ask yourself this: does being with someone who openly flirts with others make you better? Does it grow your strength, your confidence, your peace? Or does it chip away at your dignity, leaving you restless, anxious, and insecure? You already know the answer. And yet, so many men ignore it. They keep chasing, keep hoping, keep believing that if they just do more, eventually the other person will see their worth. But my friends, your worth isn't something others decide. Your worth is something you decide. Think of it like a throne. You are the king of your life, the ruler of your space. Whoever sits beside you must be worthy, loyal, and committed. Would a king ever allow someone to mock him in his own court? Would he ever beg someone to stay while they openly give their loyalty to another? Never. And yet, when you tolerate someone flirting with others in your presence, that's exactly what you're doing, lowering your crown for someone who doesn't even want to wear it. So let me give you the final truth. When they flirt with others in front of you, they've already told you where you stand. You are not their priority. You are not their choice. And the most powerful move you can make is to stop begging to be chosen. Instead, choose yourself. Choose to walk away. Choose to reclaim your dignity. Choose to invest in someone who doesn't just flirt with you when it's convenient, but who respects you when it matters most. My friends, this isn't about bitterness. This isn't about hating them. It's about clarity. It's about refusing to waste your life begging for respect where it's not freely given. It's about rising above games, above illusions, above desperation, and stepping fully into your worth. Because the truth is simple. When someone wants you, you'll know. When they don't, you'll feel confused. Stop clinging to confusion. Step into clarity. Now, I want you to declare this with me. I choose self-respect. Write it in the comments right now. Show me, show yourself, show the world around you that you will no longer settle for scraps, no longer tolerate disrespect, no longer compete for what should be freely given. Say it out loud. Write it below. Lock it into your heart. I choose self-respect. And if this message opened your eyes today, press that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay with me, because this is just the beginning. In the next video, I'll reveal the manipulative tactics people use to keep you hooked when they've already lost interest. Traps you must learn to recognize if you want to stay free. You don't want to miss that. Affirmation: I choose self-respect.